Welcome to Just Telling Stories. Without further ado, let's get into the story. It was a quiet night in the small town of Millfield, the kind of night that made you want to stay indoors with a good book and a cup of tea. But for Jenny, it was just another night working the night shift at the local gas station. She had been doing this for years, and it had become routine for her. She knew all the regular customers, and they knew her. But tonight, something was different. There was a feeling in the air, a sense of unease that she couldn't quite shake. As the night wore on, the feeling grew stronger. It was as if someone was watching her, waiting for the right moment to strike. But every time she turned around, there was no one there. She tried to brush it off, telling herself it was just her imagination. But deep down, she knew something was wrong. It wasn't until a few hours later, when she was closing up for the night, that she saw him. It was a man, tall and lean, with piercing blue eyes and a crooked smile. He was standing just outside the gas station, watching her through the window. She tried to ignore him and go about her business, but he wouldn't leave. He just stood there, staring at her, his eyes never leaving hers. Jenny knew she had to get out of there, but she didn't want to leave the safety of the gas station. She decided to call the police, just in case. But as she reached for the phone, she heard a knock at the door. It was the man, standing there with that crooked smile of his. "Can I help you?" she asked, trying to sound calm. "I just need to use the restroom," he replied, his voice soft and smooth. Jenny hesitated for a moment, but then she reluctantly let him in. It was a decision she would regret for the rest of her life. As soon as he was inside, the man attacked her. He was surprisingly strong for his size, and Jenny had no chance against him. He tied her up and gagged her, then proceeded to rob the gas station. But that wasn't the worst of it. He also began to taunt her, telling her all the horrible things he was going to do to her. Jenny was terrified, but she refused to give up hope. Hours turned into days, and days turned into weeks. Jenny was still tied up in the back room of the gas station with no hope of escape. The man would come in every now and then just to torment her. He would bring in food and water, but it was always just enough to keep her alive. He never untied her, never let her go. Jenny knew she had to find a way out, or she would die there. She tried to come up with a plan, but it seemed impossible. The man was always watching her, always one step ahead. But then, one day, Jenny was finally able to escape. She managed to loosen the ropes around her wrists and free herself. She made a run for it, not looking back until she was miles away from the gas station. She was safe, but she knew the man was still out there. Over the years, there were other victims. People would go missing, never to be seen again. The police were investigating, but they never found any solid leads. All they knew was that the killer was still out there, somewhere. It wasn't until years later, when a man was arrested for a completely unrelated crime, that they finally caught him. His name was John, and he had been living in Millfield for years. He was a quiet man,